Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, your ultimate destination for thrilling tales of survival, suspense, and unexpected romance in a world overrun by the undead. Today, we bring you The Last City, a gripping story about love, betrayal, and courage in a walled-off sanctuary where survival means everything. As we dive into this heart-pounding tale, don't forget to support the channel. Hit like, subscribe, and press the bell icon to stay updated with our latest stories. Love the story? Share it with your friends and fellow zombie enthusiasts. We'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you think of the story. Have ideas or suggestions for future content? Share them with us. We're here to bring you the best in zombie fiction. Now, get ready to step into a world where danger lurks around every corner, and humanity's last hope lies in the unlikeliest of hands. Let's begin.
The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the towering steel walls of Haven, the last city on Earth. Outside those walls lay a barren wasteland teeming with the undead, a relentless army of decay. Inside, life wasn't much easier, but at least it was life. Elena pulled her leather jacket tighter around her shoulders as she stood on the rooftop of the East Wing, overlooking the bustling market below. It was a place of chaos and commerce, where survivors traded everything from canned beans to homemade bullets. But tonight, her focus wasn't on the market. She was waiting. Late again, Damon, she muttered under her breath, her sapphire eyes scanning the shadows. Damon had a knack for being unpredictable. He was the city's most infamous scavenger, known for venturing outside the walls to retrieve supplies no one else dared to fetch. Elena didn't know what drew her to him. Perhaps it was his roguish charm or the way his dark hair always seemed to fall just right, even after a night spent dodging zombies. A low whistle broke her thoughts. Damon appeared from the alley below, a satchel slung over his shoulder. "You waiting for me, princess?" he called up, flashing his signature smirk. Elena rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress the small smile tugging at her lips. "Took you long enough. You've got the stuff? Wouldn't be here if I didn't." He climbed the fire escape with the ease of someone who had done it 100 times. When he reached her, he pulled out a silver flask and handed it over. "Got the medicine you asked for. Cost me 3 bullets and a knife, but it's yours." Her fingers brushed his as she took the flask, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause. The air between them was charged, but she broke the connection, focusing on the task at hand. "Thanks, Damon. You're a lifesaver." "Literally," he quipped. "That for your little brother?" Elena nodded. Her younger brother, Jamie, had fallen ill a week ago, and the city's supplies were stretched thin. The only chance of saving him was this rare concoction Damon had managed to find. "You're a good sister," Damon said, his voice softer now. "And you're not as bad as you pretend to be," Elena replied, a teasing lilt in her voice. Before he could respond, a distant alarm blared, shattering the moment. The market below erupted into chaos as people scrambled for cover. Elena's stomach dropped. "They've breached the wall," someone shouted. Damon grabbed Elena's arm. "We need to move. Now." They sprinted down the fire escape, weaving through the panicked crowd. The sound of gunfire echoed in the distance, and the sickening groans of the undead grew louder. Elena's heart pounded as they reached her apartment, a modest space tucked above an old bakery. She burst through the door, finding Jamie curled up on the couch, his face pale but his eyes alert. "Elena," he cried, relief washing over his features. "Jamie, we need to get out of here," she said, kneeling beside him. She handed him the flask. "Drink this. It'll help." Damon leaned against the doorframe, his pistol drawn. "We don't have much time. The east gate won't hold for long." Jamie gulped down the medicine, wincing at its bitter taste. Elena helped him to his feet, slinging his arm over her shoulder. Together, they followed Damon out into the night. The streets were a battlefield. Soldiers and civilians alike fought to hold back the horde, their faces grim with determination. Damon led the way, his movements swift and calculated. "Where are we going?" Elena shouted over the noise. "The tunnels," he replied. "They're the only way out." Elena's stomach twisted. The tunnels were a labyrinth beneath the city, dark and dangerous, but she knew Damon was right. They reached the entrance, a rusted hatch hidden behind a pile of debris. Damon pried it open, ushering them inside. The air was thick and damp, the faint smell of decay lingering. As they descended into the darkness, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She tightened her grip on Jamie, her other hand clutching the knife at her hip. The tunnels seemed endless, each step echoing ominously. Damon lit a flare, its red glow casting eerie shadows on the walls. "Almost there," he said, his voice steady. Suddenly, a growl echoed through the tunnel, low and guttural. Elena froze. "They're here," she whispered. A figure lunged from the shadows, its rotting face twisted in hunger. Damon fired his pistol, the shot ringing out in the confined space. The zombie collapsed, but more followed. "Run!" Damon shouted. They sprinted down the corridor, the undead close behind. Jamie stumbled, but Elena caught him, her adrenaline pushing her forward. Damon took out another flare, tossing it behind them. The zombies recoiled, giving them a precious few seconds to reach the exit. They burst into the open air, gasping for breath. The tunnel had led them outside the city, beyond the walls. The wasteland stretched out before them, desolate and unforgiving. "We can't stay here," Damon said, reloading his pistol. "They'll keep coming." Elena nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then we keep moving." The wasteland was eerily quiet, save for the crunch of their footsteps on the brittle ground. The orange glow of the city's fires faded behind them, leaving only darkness ahead. Damon took the lead, his silhouette tall and confident against the bleak horizon. Jamie walked between Elena and Damon, his small hand gripping hers tightly. Though he was young, his eyes betrayed an understanding far beyond his years. He didn't ask questions, he simply trusted that Elena would keep him safe. Hours passed as they trudged onward, the silence broken occasionally by distant moans that sent chills down Elena's spine. "Do you even know where we're going?" Elena asked, her voice low but sharp. Damon glanced back, his smirk barely visible in the moonlight. "There's an outpost a day's walk from here. Safe zone. Supplies. Real beds." Elena raised an eyebrow. "And you're just now mentioning this?" "I didn't want to get your hopes up," he admitted. "But I've been there. It's real." Elena sighed, too exhausted to argue. The promise of safety, however slim, was enough to keep her moving. As dawn broke, they reached a crumbling gas station, a relic from a world long gone. Damon motioned for them to stop. "We'll rest here for a bit. I'll check for supplies." Elena helped Jamie sit against the wall, then leaned back beside him. Her muscles ached, and her mind buzzed with worry. Damon disappeared inside the station, his pistol drawn. "Elena?" Jamie's voice was barely a whisper. She turned to him, brushing his hair from his face. "Yeah, bud? Are we gonna make it?" His wide eyes searched hers, seeking reassurance she wasn't sure she could give. "Of course we are," she said firmly, forcing a smile. "We've got Damon. He's a pain, but he knows what he's doing." Jamie nodded, though doubt lingered in his expression. Elena wrapped an arm around him, holding him close. Damon returned a few minutes later, carrying a dusty backpack. "Jackpot," he said, tossing it to Elena. Inside were a few cans of food, a half-empty water bottle, and a small first aid kit. This'll keep us going, Elena said, relief washing over her. Damon crouched beside them, his tone uncharacteristically serious. We'll rest here until nightfall. Traveling in daylight's too risky. They're more active in the dark, but will be harder to spot. Elena nodded, grateful for the brief respite. As Jamie dozed off against her shoulder, she found herself stealing glances at Damon. There was a softness to him now, a vulnerability she hadn't noticed before. Why do you do it? She asked suddenly. Damon looked at her, surprised. Do what? Risk your life out there. Helping people. He shrugged, his gaze distant. Someone has to. The world's already gone to hell. Doesn't mean we have to lose our humanity too. Elena studied him, her heart inexplicably aching. In that moment, she saw past the swagger and bravado to the man beneath. Thank you, she said softly. Damon met her eyes, his usual smirk replaced by something genuine. For what? For being you, she replied, her cheeks flushing. Before either could say more, a distant howl pierced the air. Damon shot to his feet, his hand on his pistol. They've found us, he said grimly.